Thank you for being here tonight, sorry, this afternoon. And today we're going to do a very important work of charity called Alta de Souza Fraternal Campaign. But before I begin, I just want to know who has already been. Today we're going to, so four of you, have you heard about it? Okay. So this is basically the food drive that we do. Um, a lot of cities in the United States already do it. We founded the first campaign in 2010 in Massachusetts, but it didn't start there. And before we talk about doing something that is going to do some good to the community, I would like to ask you to think about something. So we know that our Master Jesus, the governor of our planet, came to earth to bring the good news. That was a while ago. And how did he bring this news to the world? Maybe we can look at his work and try to copy, because that was the master. So I'm sure the method that he used, we can use today to spread the good news of Spiritism, the third revelation. So this is a beautiful message from Emmanuel that talks about the way that Jesus accomplished his mission on earth. The Master does not just teach the good. He comes down to live with the crowd and materializes it by his own effort. He heals the sick in the streets without ceremony and helps thousands of listeners, supporting them in solving the most complicated problems by his own effort. He heals the sick in the streets without external worship. He leads to his disciples the parable of the Good Samaritan, which exalts the lofty mission of charity forever. So basically, Emmanuel is talking to us about how Jesus brought his message, his teachings. He didn't found a church. He went to the streets to heal the sick, to help people that were in need, sufferers of all kinds. And this is a great example. He was very proactive, and he showed love by his actions. And we know that in the Spirit's book, Kardec asks the spirits, who can we use as our model and guide on earth? And the answer is very simple. Jesus. So Jesus is our major guide and model. And today we're going to try to do this. Because we are here together. We are from different places. We are studying about changing ourselves for better, improving ourselves. So maybe using Jesus' model, we can go out in the streets, like Emmanuel says here, go out in the streets to do something, to help, right? To help others. And I told you that this campaign is called Alta de Souza Fraternal Campaign. And I'm going to ask you, who was Alta de Souza? I'm sure our American friends here have no clue. Some of us in Brazil, we might have heard about her. She's not just famous as a spiritist, but she was famous before. So let's learn a little bit about her. She was born in Brazil on September 12, 1876, in the northeast of Brazil, in a town called Macaíba, Rio Grande do Norte. Macaíba, as a curiosity, is a tree that produces these little fruits. So here is a map of the South America, Brazil, and then the northeast of Brazil. Okay, this is Natal over here, around here, and that's where Natal and Macaíba is right here on the west of Natal. Natal is the capital of Rio Grande do Norte. So in 1876, I'm sure here in America times were different as well, but in Brazil times were also different. Alta de Souza, as you can see a picture of her here, she had dark skin. She was not completely dark. She was what we call in Brazil mulata. So she's a mix of white and black skin.
Kind of biracial here.
Yeah, biracial. Here we call African American. There will be African South Americans. So in that time, women didn't have a lot to say. Many women would not go to school. There were still slaves, sons of slaves, of older slaves, and Alta de Souza lived in that time. And likewise, other enlightened spirits, her life was difficult, was a difficult life. So this is a picture of the house where she was born. Now it's called Alta de Souza State School. She was the only girl among 5 children. Her life was full of trials, as I told you. When she was only 3 years old, her mother died. When she was 5, her father died. And she was raised by her grandmother. Alta de Souza was very brilliant. At the age of 7 years old, she was already capable of reading stories to the poor children and to the slaves. Can you imagine a little child? She lost her mother, and then she lost her father. And 2 years later, she reads stories to poor children. That's amazing. First of all, at 7 years old, she was able to read already. As a female, dark skin. In 1887, her brother, Irineu, died as a result of a serious fire in front of her eyes. He caught on fire and he died. And this is common for high spirits. If we study, the history of many other enlightened spirits, they usually come and they give an example to us of hardship and how to be patient, how to deal with it in a nice way. In 1888, she started to study, and at that school, a very important school there. So even though she was raised by her grandmother, she had a good education. So she learned how to read, and she used to like a lot the gospel, Jesus' gospel, religious topics. Her health was always delicate. And in 1890, she became ill with TB, tuberculosis. That was common at that time. So all of these, and you can see here that she doesn't look very healthy. She was always a little fragile. When she was 17, she started to write poems to the newspapers. So she not just started to write poems, but they were good enough to be published in the newspapers. And in 1900, her first and only book, later on you're going to find out why it was the only book, called Orto. Orto is kind of the translation is like a place where you cultivate plants and fruits. It was published And the preface of this book was written by Olavo Bilac. Olavo Bilac is one of the greatest poets in Brazil. So he wrote the preface highlighting that she was a very good writer. On February 27th, 1901, she died with tuberculosis. She was only 24 years old. But she left a history in Brazil. So recently, I was not there in Brazil anymore, but I heard that there was a campaign about valuing dark-skinned people in Brazil. And one of the people mentioned was Alda de Souza in the national television because of her poems. Talking about her importance being a female and doing so much at a very difficult time. So she's an example even while incarnated. But for us, the most important part of her life comes after she's in the spiritual realm. So in 1930, Chico Xavier, in a book, was asked. Imagine, Chico Xavier was one of the greatest mediums of all times. And he, who knows how many books Chico Xavier psychographed during his life?
427.
Oh, wow. I knew that it was more than 400. 427, that's great. So, through his hands, he psychographed more than 400 titles. Okay? And one reporter came to him and asked him, Chico Xavier, please do you recall any experience with a spirit that marked your life because of being so special? And Chico Xavier says, yes, I remember one sonnet entitled Our Lady of Suffering that, if I'm not mistaken regarding the date, was published by the Almanac of Lembranças of Lisbon in 1932. And this poem is about, who do you think is the Lady of Suffering, the greatest Lady of Suffering of the world? Our speaker in the morning mentioned her. Who is she? She's Jesus' mother. Okay, Saint Mary. And look what he says. One night, while I was praying, can you please read for us as you?
Yes. One night, while I was praying, a spirit of a young lady, radiating intense light, approached me. She asked for paper and pencil, and she wrote the sonnet that I just mentioned. She cried so hard while writing it that I myself began to cry as well, with such emotion that at the moment I couldn't tell if my eyes were hers or if her eyes were mine. Later, the Spirit Emmanuel informed me she was Alta de Souza, the highly regarded poetess of Rio Grande do Norte. Rio Grande do Norte is a state up north in Brazil, and Emmanuel was the mentor of Chico Xavier.
Isn't that beautiful? Because here we have an idea of how enlightened Alta de Souza is. And that's a picture of her. These slides were produced by my sister. She, so I would like to tell you that. So this is the sonnet. It's very hard to translate Alta de Souza's works because they are sonnets and they rhyme. She uses very beautiful words, very fine words. This poem was translated by Josiah Korngold. Josiah Korngold is from New York, from the Spiritist group of New York. And she translated these for the first Alta de Souza fraternal meeting of the United States in 2006. And she said, I couldn't stop translating. She translated like 4 or 5 sonnets, the biography, because she was so impressed. This is very beautiful, talking about Jesus' mother. This poem was transformed into a song in Brazil. So there's a song, but it's in Portuguese. And this is very important as well. Our friend Steve knew how many books, but do you know which one was the first one?
It was from his mother. You know that much.
That was the first communication.
Oh, that
But
was
what
my
about
first
the
book.
first book? Right here.
I don't think it's in English.
No, not yet. Not yet. So this is a very important book.
We will not read the poem.
Well, if you really want.
I just because I think it's so beautiful.
Okay. Because of our time is short, but we can read. So, Our Lady of Suffering, Mother of Pains, Lady of Suffering, I contemplate your lacerate heart, for the suffering endured by your beloved Son, in a life filled with harshness and ingratitude. There are in your eyes such tenderness, so much affection and divine love, that from your tortured semblance a lovely and pure light irradiates, a light that illuminates the most shadowy pathway, a divine light, sublime and splendorous, that enlightens, guides, and supports. Dear Lady, so beautiful are your tears, that they resemble gleaming stars, drops of light in the darkness of anguish. It's very beautiful. Because it talks about Saint Mary, but it gives us examples. Because we suffer so much for our sufferings, but I don't think we suffer as much as Jesus' mother. And this is a good example. If you search online, you're going to find this, her biography and these poems. So this is a very important book. This was the first mediumistic work of Chico Xavier. And it was so interesting because this is a collection of poems of different poets from Brazil, from Portugal. And it was amazing because this basically proved that he was a medium. Because at that time, the Academy of Literature in Brazil said, you know what, we're going to study this book and we're going to make sure this charlatan pays for it. And what they say is, either Chico Xavier is an extraordinary poet of different styles, or he's a medium. Because the poems follow the style of the writers. And if you have one great artist, imagine you all of a sudden become, artists of different styles. So it was interesting. And in this book, there are 89 poems and 27 verses. And here we hear about Alva de Souza again, because she writes on this book. Now we're going to go a little bit, we're going to change a little bit from Alva de Souza to a very dear person, and then they're going to meet together, and we're going to find out why Alva de Souza is used as the name for this campaign. So this is Ninfo Correia, de Paula Correia. So Ninfo Correia created a work called Fraternal Campaign. Okay? Why? The Kilo Campaign. Because the Spiritist Federation of São Paulo was in need of assistance for the poor. And then he remembered, in Brazil there is a food drive, very famous food drive, done by Catholics. And we know that in the United States, the post office does one, the Boy Scouts, they are also done here. In Brazil, we call Kilo Campaign. Why? Because there is a little bag of 1 kilogram, which is the measure that we use the most. We don't use pounds. 1 kilogram is about 2 and a little bit pounds. And it's like symbolic, so people can donate. So in 1950, NINFO participated in this campaign in the city where Patrick and I used to live, Campo Grande, Mato Grosso do Sul. But then he moved to São Paulo, and there he sees the need for the FESP, Spiritist Federation of São Paulo, to acquire donations to give to the poor families. And then he said, you know what, let's do the campaign of fraternity, he called. Fraternal campaign. And here are historic photos of them going from house to house, collecting donations. More pictures. And here, something happened, and that's when we correlate this fraternal campaign with Aldo de Souza. So in the meetings where, after they were done with the campaign on the streets, a medium started to see something. She started to see spirits, discarnate spirits, being brought to the Spiritist Center in very difficult conditions. They were sometimes carried because they could not walk. They were suffering. They were, they were dirty. They were crying. And then this medium thought, wait a minute, we are doing something good. And we are attracting spirits in need, bad spirits. She got very concerned. So then they wrote a letter to Chico Xavier. Chico Xavier was incarnated at the time. And then, for those that prefer the message in Portuguese, is right here. This is the answer of Bezerra de Menezes, a very important spirit as well, who was, when incarnated, he was a doctor and he was the president of the Brazilian Spiritist Federation for many years. And his answer is, NINFO, my son, Jesus blesses us. Our campaign continues as a flag of light. So this is a confirmation of the importance of this campaign. Let's strive as much as possible to sustain the motivation of our companions of ideal and past, in the certainty that charity is the invisible presence of Jesus in our path. Let's continue trustful in our work, confident in the Lord's blessing, today and forever. Okay, but guess what happens? This medium didn't get the answer she wanted. There was not enough. Because more spirits, and every time they did the campaign. So she was concerned. She sends a letter again. And Chico Xavier, at this time, through Bezerra as well, even more specific. He says that the campaign, everything's fine, nothing is wrong with the campaign. That lady that is bringing these spirits is called, who do you think that is?
What's her name?
Alta de Souza.
Alta.
So she was bringing these spirits from the streets, from the homes. So they were rescued by this campaign of light. So when these people went from home to home, collecting food, they were doing a lot more. Because the spirits will always use our energy. Either good energy for good, or bad energy for bad. But because it was a good campaign, we're good spirits. And there is a detail of this campaign that is the most important thing, that differentiates it from the other food drives. Because it not just brings the opportunity of charity from the home, but we also take a spiritist message of console. It's not a message with the intention to convert anybody to Spiritism. Because Spiritism doesn't have this concern. We don't think that everybody needs to be Spiritist to be saved or to be well. But we are very concerned about bringing the message of patience, of console for those that are suffering. Because when we go from home to home, what do you think? Every time we stop in front of a house, there will be a sign saying we are well, or we are sick, or we are thinking about committing suicide, or we lost our job, or I have an undesired pregnancy, or my mother was just diagnosed with a fatal disease. Do you think we're going to see the signs? No. So that's where we find in the gospel the hidden misfortunes. So it's a great opportunity because if you think a food drive that goes from door to door is not very efficient. You could do in other ways. You could send messages and go just for collection. But the collection is not the most important thing. And I'm sure it was not the collection that made this work so good and so fruitful for the spirits to use as a rescue revenue for these spirits. And in Pedro Leopoldo, where Chico Xavier worked for many years receiving mediumistic messages, they received communication of spiritual support, in particular from Aldo de Souza, through a series of poems motivating their work. And here are some examples of these messages. They're very beautiful. And there is a book called Alta de Souza that has a lot of her poems. I highly recommend. So these are just some background for our campaign. Here is Chico Xavier, and here's Ninfo Correia. Ninfo, from São Paulo, Ninfo was a military guy. So from São Paulo, he moved to Brasília, and Brasília is very close to Minas Gerais. And they were friends, they were similar ages. Here is Ninfo Correia and his wife, and they are here in the fifth, sorry, how do I say 50th Concavas. This was in Campo Grande. You were working at Concavas, Patrick? Very good. I was here already. My sister was there working. And it was one of his last Concavas. Because he was old, he was sick. The TV went there to interview him, and you're going to see him. Pictures of him here with our friend Vitor and Carlos. That's him again. Picture of him being interviewed by Globo. And this was the president of Mucatas, our friend João Carlos Rosa. And here's a picture of him with the kids. And there's a special kid here. All the kids are special. But this little guy here was in your Aldo de Souza Paterno. This is my nephew, Gabriel. Now he's 50 years old and helped to found the Aldo de Souza campaign here in the United States, years later. So basically now we have a few minutes to go over the method that we use for this campaign. Okay? Throughout the years, imagine it was founded in 1950, 65 years ago. Throughout the years, because Ninfo Correia was a very organized person, he studied and tested many things. And he created a manual with all the rules and things that work throughout the world. And we had the opportunity to found this campaign in Massachusetts, but then we thought, you know what? This is not Brazil. So we are going to adapt. We cannot do the same. So we created with some twists. However, time showed us that his method was proven for a reason. And we had to go back to the original methodology. So now we do it exactly the way it is done in Brazil. So There are a lot of pictures of me here, but my sister showed this picture, so I apologize. It looks like I'm promoting myself. But this is us in Massachusetts. Because there are other campaigns done here, but these are the one that we have the pictures. So basically, we go from home to home. We choose usually a neighborhood close to the Spirit Center, and we start and we make our way around the city. And we have a map and we organize where we are going. And then we go and deliver the message. This campaign is done in 2 consecutive weekends. The first one, we bring the Spiritist message in an asking letter. In this asking letter, we explain that the following week we will come back to collect donations for, in Brazil, usually the Spiritist centers help the community directly. Here in America, we usually help the local food pantry because it's already so well organized that if there's a food bank, why not donate to this food bank? Even though Flavia in North Carolina pantry, they are already doing work directly with the community. So there's nothing wrong about collecting these donations. If you do this distribution already, you can collect and donate directly. That's how it's done in Brazil. In Massachusetts, we don't do directly to the community yet. So we donate to the food pantry. Whatever you do, this campaign is very important. Do you remember when that Hurricane Sandy hit New York and New Jersey? It's closer to us. So we did a few campaigns during a month for that. And a group from Massachusetts, G2, organized a truck with donations, and we helped with that too. It was very nice. So this can be done in different ways. Here are some of our friends. This is David, my son, Livia, my niece, and that's my brother-in-law, and other workers here. Julie already came down here in the past. But the objectives of the campaign are not limited to the donation. And this is what makes it beautiful. Because we know that people might be hungry. They might be hungry. But all of us are hungry of messages, of the Spirit's message. So this is a great way to disseminate from door to door the Spirit's message. Just like Jesus did. Jesus went from home to home or from city to city helping people, right? So collect donations, of course, as we already said. And we might be surprised of how many families need this type of help. America is so beautiful. We really appreciate being here. But when we come here, we think there's no need. We don't see it. In Brazil, we see it so easily. We see the slums everywhere. We see people asking. In smaller cities, we don't see that much. So we think as immigrants that there's no need for this. But there is need. But we need to go and look for the hidden misfortunes. We need to do a little bit of work to find how to help these families, because how to find them. If we don't look for them, we might not find them. And another very important objective is because it helps the volunteer to work selfishness. Because you're not going to go from home to home to please yourself. Or to, usually it's a work for others. And develops humility. Because you're going to knock on the door and you're going to ask for something. A few years ago, we had a student. He's a lawyer. And he told, when we invited him to do the campaign, he said, I don't do that work. I'm not used to ask for help. But he went a few times with us. He was observing. And definitely, I personally had this, originally didn't want to do it because I thought, I'm not going to be comfortable with this. But with time, you will be surprised how you improve yourself. And at some point, it doesn't matter how the family will interact with you. You develop love. Because one of the rules is one person speaks and the other one prays for the home. So you acquire the habit of praying for a home that you've never been before. You don't know who is there, but you are praying for them. And sometimes when they are not as nice to us, we realize that they might be in need. And we pray even harder. Intolerance for the same reason, because sometimes, most of the times, I would say 90% of the times, people are very nice, very polite. But we're going to have a few times that people are not very friendly, and then we develop tolerance. We teach our children to be tolerant. We teach our children to behave a certain way, regardless of the way that people treat them. And this is good because that's how they want to treat you in the future. So it provides opportunity for many creatures eager to practice charity. The Spiritist Center should provide opportunities to do charitable work, community service. This is important. Make good use of a great potential of the children, teaching them to be good, charitable, and a good worker in the future. So here you see all the organization. When we first came here, we didn't want to be too intrusive to the homes because they often don't have gates. So we basically walk through their driveways, go inside their porches and things. So we created these. First was a T-shirt with the saying "Food Drive Be There." Why? Because they can recognize right away what we are doing. Oh, this is a food drive. So it takes a lot of the anxiety away. They can still choose not to open the door. It's fine. We have no problems with that. But it just explains a little bit without words. And now it's so interesting because I see a lot of groups in Brazil also using and in other places. Just like people here are using the shirt, it looks very nice, it looks organized. We also use name tags, we use the bag, we are very organized campaign, and it shows how important they are for us. By the way, that's why we have Alto de Souza Fraterno meetings, because of this campaign. So this campaign created first what we call Concafras, which is it's going to be 60 years next year in Brazil. And by the way, in 3 cities, one of them is going to be in Palmelo. Maybe that could be your next visit to Brazil. Because we have John of God, very important, but we have Palmelo too. Palmelo is a Spiritist town in Goiás. And all you have are little hotels to hold people going through spiritual surgeries, spiritual treatment. So maybe that the next visit. Very interesting place. So here you can see a picture of a neighborhood. So you see the homes, and you see a group over here, a group over here. This is my nephew, same nephew that you saw in that picture, doing the campaign here. This is another group over here, and another one walking. Many kids. This is my other son. So many kids on the streets, bringing light. So my sister wants us to reflect on this. Instead of being here, we can go outside and bring light. Imagine all these people praying, desiring the good, bringing the Spirit's message. It's going to be very good for the neighborhood. So here's some of the organization. In Massachusetts, it's very cold. Probably this day was a day of like today. It was not too bad. But here we have the vests that we put over our jackets. The bag. So this is a collection day. Like I said, there were in one weekend we deliver the asking letters, and then the following we go back with the bags. Okay? So the name tag. Okay. Here is one of the homes that left the bag for us. So in the letter we say, you can either donate for us when we come back, or you can leave the donation in front of your house. And we ask them to write ASFC, so we know it's for us. Right now we are using a blue bag, because a blue bag helps we more easily recognize it's for us than a white bag. But here, and I had the pleasure to come to this home the week before. They didn't answer the door. The second time, they didn't answer the door either, but they left their donation. So they received the message, and they left their donation. What do you think this can cause to a family when they donate, when they receive an invitation to donate? And during the week, they think about the donation, and they remember to donate the following week. What do you think that causes to them? What do you think, Steve?
Well, they think about what they have extra that they don't really need, and they can give to others who do need it.
So they think about what they have extra
Yeah.
that they don't need, or sometimes that they need.
Right.
Right? They might be in need of that, but then they still have the detachment to give.
Right.
The sentiment of responsibility. The spirits in the gospel, according to Spiritism, they tell us that the root of all the vices is called selfishness. So when these families think about getting something to give to somebody else, what they are doing with their selfishness? They are putting aside. So this is a therapy for gifts. Doing charity. Sometimes a person is thinking about themselves, depressed, so many different things. But then they get that, wait a minute, some people are facing hunger in my town? I didn't know that. The city we are in is called Westboro. It's not a poor city. So many people don't even know there's a food pantry there. And they help, at least when we went there to meet with them, they used to help 100 families every week. But imagine here in Atlanta, how many families are in need. So here's the bag. Here we are coming back. This is a little folder where we put the messages. So we are very organized and it's nice. And here we don't have a lot of time, but this is one of very important questions of the Spirit's book. What do you think of the division of natural law into 10 parts? This is the part almost going to the end of the book, halfway to the end. Laws of adoration, labor, reproduction, preservation, society, equality, liberty, justice, love, and charity. Listen to the answer. I'm not going to read everything, but the thing he's saying is, the last of those parts, charity, is the most important. Because the law of charity includes all the others. And it is therefore through the observance of this law that mankind advances most rapidly in spiritual life. So here are the spirits in the Spirit's book saying that charity is the most important of the divine laws, reinforcing the need. And here's the question. Would you like to join this group? Would you like to do this with us? In this group, most of us have already done the campaign, so it's going to be easy. Usually what we do, we're going to have a coffee break right now, and then we're going to gather together again Us with the group that is having this class in Portuguese. And then we're gonna mix ourselves, people that have already done the campaign, with people that have never done the campaign, so one can help the other. We also get very organized and help you when we are on the streets, review the methodology, review what we say. It is very basic. Usually we go in two people at least to each house. Sometimes we go in three people, but usually two. And then we knock on the door or ring the bell, and then we introduce ourselves. So we say, hello, good afternoon. My name is Maria. This is Anna, for example. We are here attending to Alta de Souza Paterno meeting of a Spiritism group. And we are here doing a food drive to benefit this so-and-so food pantry. Here we're going to give with you a list of the things that are in need, and we're going to come back in 15 minutes or so. Why 15 minutes? Because today is a dynamic campaign. We're not going to come back next week. So then we gather together at the end of the street or the end of the block, and then we come back collecting the donations 15 minutes later. This has been done thousands of times in Brazil, in Apex, in Charlotte, many places. So don't worry, this works very well. So here are my children dancing. I'm not going to tell you the song that they are dancing. Not the best song, but they are very happy. Playing on the streets and showing our. Another thing that it causes to the neighborhood is that it calls attention to people. So everybody that is driving by, they will say, what's this? They look food drive. And they see adults and they see children. See, this is a little child. This is Jordan. She's an American. She went to Brazil to study for a year, and she had the opportunity to get to know Spiritism there. And then she came back to the United States, and she loved the Alta de Souza Paterno campaign. Okay, so we are going to have a small break. Maybe I will answer your questions, or if somebody wants to say something that I forgot. We have Brazilian friends that do this campaign in Brazil. They can share with us any thoughts. And then we're going to have a coffee break and come back to do the campaign. Any question? Any comment? No cash. That's a good question. In Brazil, we receive cash. It's okay to receive cash, as long as you have a method. So you need to have a receipt in hand. For example, if you have your Spirit Center, you can receive in the name of the Spirit Center, but you need to make sure you give a receipt. And that you have a way to use that money for the families in need. So in Massachusetts, we decide not to receive money. And we say, sometimes it's inevitable. Sometimes they give to us and we buy food. We usually buy food. But we try not to receive, and we say, this is the website. You can always go there and donate directly if you want to donate. Because this is something that happens to. Sometimes the family says, oh, I already helped my church. Or I already helped this and that. Or sometimes the family will help 1 month later because of the campaign, and you never know. So you can either receive or not. But if you do, you need to have a way to use that money in a very clear way. So the purpose, yes. Today, we are not going to accept, right?
Yes.
We're just going to say, if they want to give money, we say, money, you are welcome to donate directly to them. You can either use this money to buy something and take that in person. Today, we don't have receipts to give to you, so it's fine.
Can I just clarify some?
Of course.
And The food bank that we're going to donate the food is actually in the block where we're going to be asking, so people know is there. Is it? We're going to physically see where the food is going to go to. We can actually take pictures or record a video. It's called Must Ministries. It's a charitable association, a Christian, but not related to any churches at all. They accept donations for food to anybody. And actually, they serve the community from here to there. So we're going to be working in the same community that they're going to give back to the people in need.
So I'm just going to explain because of the transmission.
Oh, okay.
Do you think they were able to
no,
finish?
go ahead.
Yeah, so as you explained to us that the food bank that we're going to be benefiting today is in the same block of the homes that we're going to visit. So that's very interesting. The name is
Must Ministries.
Must Ministries. Any other question? After the break, we're going to review the methodology and everything and get the material.
Can I just leave a comment?
Of course.
So, like, I don't know, I didn't hear you say that, but I think it's important, like, since it goes in groups, like, one person talks about the food and, like, about the donations, while the other is praying for that house and that family. I've had experiences with him last time in North Carolina where we did that, and it was just, like, very surprising the amount of food that the person left after, you know. So, because you never know. Maybe it could just be about the food, but you never know if the family needs a prayer. So it's important to keep that in mind.
Well, thank you for reminding us. This is a very important thing. So two people go, and at least two people, one is talking to the family, the other one is in prayer. Okay? During this prayer, we are praying for the family and we are connecting with the high spirits. And that's even safer to be in connection with the spirits. So they're going to help us, they're going to give us intuitions, they're going to even help us with words. This is very important. It is a spiritual work, even though it's outside the spiritual center. So now we're going to say our prayer. And we're going to have a comfort break. Okay? So let's close our eyes again and be very thankful for the example that we had from Aldo de Souza, this enlightened spirit that gave us so many reasons to do charity work, to be more patient with our struggles. Also the example of Ninfa Correia. And please come with us to the homes so we can do a little bit of the charity that we should in order to make this world a better place to live. Please prepare the homes and prepare each one of us so we can do the most with our time. So be it.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's a just 5-minute break. Coffee is here, restroom, and water, because we have to be here before we leave to do the outreach, the campaign. We have to do like a little explanation, like we're gonna do like a little acting, for the first timers, they can see how we act. So we need just 5 minutes for this break, okay? Coffee, water, restroom.